All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jason Flame. It's Monday, and welcome to the Master Motivation Podcast. Today, my guest is Mr. TJ Williams, who is from Niagara Falls, New York, who currently is a fourth degree black belt in the Chuck Norris System, formerly known as Chun Kuk Do. Mr. Williams has been studying martial arts for 25 years. He started a day before his 11th birthday. He's a fitness instructor, certified in the Les Mills Body Combat and AFAA, the Athletics and Fitness Association of America, and has been training clients for 6 years. TJ is also a podcaster with two shows. He's got the Kickpod and the Fit Fighter. In addition to martial arts, he's an independent professional wrestler. His ring name is TJ Kartz, the video game warrior, and has been wrestling for 8 years. Can't wait to talk about that because you and I, huge pro wrestling fans. What's up, TJ? How you doing, buddy?
Real good. I'm just laying in my bed, recovering from surgery that I had on Friday. So
Yeah. So you just had surgery. It was actually, if I recall, an injury in the pro wrestling ring. What happened?
I guess I was doing like a number one contenders match, and I guess I got overzealous or overexcited, and I guess in the middle of the match I was going for a spot, and as I was going for the spot, I either jumped wrong or hit something, and then next I felt my knee popped out, and I was like on the ground. I couldn't even get up.
Oh man, that's brutal, right? That's brutal, right in the middle of a match.
Yeah.
So was this a tag team match or was this a singles match?
It's a singles match. I was number one contenders match for the I work for Nickel City Wrestling, which is in the Buffalo Niagara Falls area. So I was doing a number one contenders match for their heavyweight title.
So there's definitely going to have to be a rematch at some point.
Oh yeah, once I get better.
Yeah, let's get better. Well, hey, let's talk a little bit about kind of Niagara Falls area where you live now. Have you lived there your whole life?
Yeah, born and raised.
Born and raised right there. Cool. And
Yeah.
talk about growing up in New York.
Oh, it's just like wonderful. It's like it felt like years ago I was able to go places. It's like going places don't seem like it's like any place or like it used to be. It's like usually for me when I was a kid, every time I'm watching Saturday morning cartoons, it's like I want to go to the mall or go to the store, and that's like usually Niagara Falls was so exciting back then. It's like we had so many festivals,
Hmm.
parades, so many things to discover out there. But really nowadays it's just like you just want to stay home. But now
Hmm.
nowadays, just I still want to like explore Niagara Falls. I just don't want to forget where I came from. Really.
Yeah. And did you play sports or what activities did you do as a kid?
I wasn't much of an activity person. I was like mostly I was did nothing but watch TV, play video games. I usually do draw a lot. So and then it wasn't until like when I was 11, or at least towards 10 o'clock or 10 years old, I started doing martial arts. So that's
Hmm.
like the first activity I started doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. You professional wrestler, podcast, martial artist, video games, artist. I mean, you got a lot of creativity going on in that brain of yours, right? Where did that stem from? Being so creative.
Well, yeah, I guess it just came with my condition. I was diagnosed with ADHD, and let's just say I wasn't always academically achieving, but with having such a creative mind, it kind of helped me with well, most of my schoolwork. I was always good at math. I can
Hmm.
tell you I was very good, with math problems. It was just like I just get like that, but with everything else, I had to at least like try to be creative and like I get a vision. Like basically when I'm reading, I get a vision of what's going on in the story or what the sentence is talking about.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, hey guys, we're here live with TJ Williams. If you guys are watching us here live, please drop us a comment. Let us know you're here. And by the way, if you have any questions, anything you want to hear us talk about, anything you want to ask TJ, again, please drop those in the comments. And if you're watching on the replay, just comment in there, hashtag replay, and any questions. And we'd love to get back to you guys. But hope everybody is having a great day. I'm excited to have TJ on because, many of you may know that TJ had me on his podcast. Gosh, it's been a little while now, right? We had a great time doing that podcast.
Oh yeah.
So we'll talk about that podcast in just a second. But we left off talking about martial arts. You started martial arts the day before, right? Am I correct? The day before your 11th birthday at 10 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I was like looking at my application, I was like, I mean, it's been so long since I had looked at my application. So I looked at my application one day and it's like I'm trying to figure out when I actually started. I always thought I started like during winter time, like December, but I
Hmm.
looked at my application, I actually started November 6th. So that number November 7th, that's my birthday. So I started a day before my birthday. And that's like I've always said I started at 11 years old, but actually I started at 10 years old.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah.
And what prompted you to get started in martial arts? Was it something that you were interested in, or was it something that your parents kind of introduced to you, or was it just the combination of the two?
That basically was a combination of the two. I was like always a fan of martial arts. I lived watching martial arts movies, cartoons, and mostly video games. I just loved how martial arts is. I was always bullied most of the time when in my childhood. I wanted to learn how to fight or learn how to defend myself. There's like too many bullies out there. You know, kids and adults alike, and it's like most people just are not as careful as they are like what they say and what they do, and then they kind of goes down to the kids. That's what I do with my teachers. I know I try to make things positive for those kids.
Hmm.
So
And so you loved martial arts movies, you loved martial arts video games. Let's pick one first. What were some of the martial arts movies that inspired you?
I have to say, like Ninja Turtles, that was like the one movie that I loved.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, we had Ernie Reyes Jr. was just on the show last year, and I'm looking forward to having him on a part two. So I'm sure you'll love to have some time watching him talk about that experience. Yeah, Ninja Turtles was kind of for me, it was Karate Kid, because I started in the 80s. So I'm guessing there's a little discrepancy in age between the two of us. You're a little bit younger than me, but that Ninja Turtles was like the second big craze of people getting started in martial arts. What was it about martial arts? I mean, was it just the flashy, cool kicking and fighting and all the action that drew you to it? I mean, Ninja Turtles, there was always like the comedy that went along with it. And you're a cartoon buff, so they started the cartoon as well. What was it about martial arts that really got you intrigued?
It was like the action, like the kicks, like the backflips, all the acrobatics. It was just that's what sparked my interest. And and speaking of Ninja Turtles, like Michelangelo is like my all-time favorite, mostly because of the nunchucks. I mean, I always wanted to learn how to use them nunchucks, and I mean, I kind of fool around with nunchucks now, but mostly my weapon is like bow staff and tafa. So that's like my two top weapons right now. Yeah.
Very cool. And then you had some video games that were that inspired you with martial arts. What video games were you playing back in the day that got you interested in martial arts?
Well, I could say my top 3 was Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Tekken.
Mm.
Yeah,
Do you have a number one?
I gotta say Mortal Kombat. That's like my number 1 video game.
Mortal Kombat. Very cool. Well, speaking of Mortal Kombat, we got Chris Casamassa coming up,
Yeah.
who
S
plays Scorpion. So he'll be coming up on the podcast as well. So that's awesome. Um, so you got involved in martial arts. Did you originally start in the Chuck Norris system? Was it a Tong Sudo system? I'm assuming, right? Because that's his background.
yeah, I guess that's at first I was thinking it was, Tank Sudo. I never, actually knew it was, revolved around Chuck Norris, but, I always saw pictures of Chuck Norris and my, master instructor, at the time, John Presti. I mean, he had all these pictures of Chuck Norris, and then that's like, I mean, what does this have to do with, Chuck Norris? But actually, when I actually went to Vegas for
Hmm.
the first time for the convention and actually met Chuck Norris and actually had a picture with him, it's like this is like I'm actually trained in the style of Chuck Norris. I'm have the power of Chuck Norris. Yeah.
That's very cool. And my wife is watching right now, and she said that she loves seeing a childhood dream become a career. And this is your career, right? You are a career full time martial artist.
Well, mostly I have like a full time job, but really this is something that really drawn really close to me because I've been doing it for a long time. So I'd say yeah, it'd be a career. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. It's we have that parallel of the Chuck Norris system, or Chuck Norris being at the top of your lineage. My instructor, Dennis Ichikawa, trained with Chuck Norris and Pat Johnson in the late 60s, early 70s. He ran his Sherman Oaks martial arts schools when he first opened out here in the San Fernando Valley. And I got to meet Chuck Norris at the Martial Arts Super Show, actually two times. And it was really cool because the first time that I met him, the first thing I said to him was, I'm a Dennis Ichikawa student. He goes, "Whoa, really? Is he here?" And unfortunately, I couldn't get them connected at that time. And then several years later, I got to meet him again. And talk about a guy that has had a ton of success and is, just highly respected, not only in the martial arts world, but as an actor and in the movie industry, and with his nonprofit organizations that he's had over the years. He's probably the most humble person that I have ever met, and just such a easygoing guy who could talk with just about anybody. What was your experience when you met him?
Well, when I first met him, it's like the anxiety. With famous people, you get so excited, and then your heart's pumping, and then you want honestly for me and famous people, I want to talk to them like normal people. I don't want to be like overexcited.
Hmm.
But with Chuck Norris, that was that first feeling when I actually met him for the first time. But like nowadays, it's like after being at the convention so many times and actually going to see him every time, it's like I'm more calm and like calm, cool, and collective. It's like I see him. It's like I say, "Hi, Mr. Norris. How you doing?" It's like, and him and his brother, and mostly the black belts in the UFAF organization, are just like humble people. And it's just I just enjoy seeing them when I go to Vegas, and it's just almost like a family reunion every year.
Hmm.
Yep.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel the same way at the martial arts super show. That, as we say, it's hard not to mark out for, these top guys that you've looked up to, your whole life, as in the martial arts movies, or you've seen them on in magazines, or you've seen videos. It is really hard to not mark out and get, a little geeky about it. But yeah, what a cool experience, right? Talking about martial arts right now, of course, I'm sure you and a lot of people watching, or people that are martial arts fans, are watching Cobra Kai right now. Have you seen it all? Did you watch it all?
Yeah, I'm on round 3 right now. The
Okay,
whole
no spoilers, because
Oh no.
I'm only on episode 8. Actually, I think we finished episode 8 this morning. I still have 9 and 10 to go. But what are your thoughts so far on Cobra Kai? What do you think of it?
Oh man, it's like you just want to see what happens next after every episode. It's like you just think about your own experience as martial artists. It's kind of like looking at this. It's like this is why studios or schools shouldn't be against each other so much. I mean, we're here for the same goal. We're trying to at least make a world a better place.
Hmm.
So, but with this series, it's like competition. It's like a war. It's like you kind of like provoke somebody's envy, and like you're saying you want to be better, but and then this person says I'm better than you, and then you want to kind of top that. So that's pretty much my view of the series.
Hmm. Now, everything based off the original Karate Kid series, which again, was in the mid '80s. It just, you watch the old Karate Kid movies, and you watch the new Cobra Kai, and you see all you hear all the same lines, all these Easter eggs of the different lines that come into play. But the theme of the original Karate Kid was really all about, bullying, and overcoming bullying, and using martial arts to build confidence and to overcome obstacles. You talked about being bullied as a kid. Talk a little bit about that and how you overcame it.
Well, like I said, dealing with my ADHD, I had like that school teacher, like really, I mean, mostly school teachers are supposed to help you, but I had this one school teacher, not to be named. I mean, she always basically yelled at me because I didn't get the right answer a lot. But it kind of gave me that motivation, like if to do better. It's like if I know if I'm gonna do good, I don't want anybody to yell at me. I gotta make sure I know what I'm doing, always paying attention. So like
Hmm.
nowadays I make sure I'm asking questions like more than once to make sure I know what I'm doing and have an idea of what's going on. So I'm not getting in trouble as much. I gonna make this mistakes sometimes, but I mean, at least it's not too many mistakes that I've made in my life, but I want to make sure I'm on top of things. I'm ahead. So that's
Mhm.
how I kind of overcome my ADHD. It's like really, I have to see a vision to be able to know what's going on and be able to just be ready. That's how I say. I usually tell my students like the whole point of training is not only to get better, but to be prepared because you never know what's going to be happening like the next week, the next day, the next month. So you want to be prepared.
Mhm. Mhm. And did the bullying follow you in school all the way up, or when do you feel like maybe it tapered off or it stopped? Because obviously, as you become more confident, you learn how to deal with with having ADHD and how to deal with people and how they treat you. How did that change for you over the years?
Well, I say like probably around high school, it seemed like my maturity kind of grew out. It was like end of high school, and I had to find something to do with myself, and it kind of felt better for me. Like at the end of high school, it's like I
Mhm.
was doing well with classes, and it's like people were like I was probably pretty much friends with almost everybody. Like I felt like I was famous, but not too famous, but you know doing playing football throughout the 4 years of high school, doing track and do all these extra activities, it's just like I kinda got myself out there because with, I didn't talk as much because I was always that quiet one, but, I kind of, got out my shell, start talking to people, it's kind of better for me now because, I have my podcast and, I'm talking to you, you know, I talk to a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. So you brought up something that I didn't read in your bio, and I didn't know about you. So you played football. You ran track in high school. I mean, you were an athlete in school. What was your experience? Was that a really positive experience for you?
Yeah, it's just get myself out there. No, I didn't do too good with football. I only got one trophy, like most improved, because I didn't understand the sport as much. But when I started like playing football, like throughout those 4 years, I started understanding like how to play the game as much. But with track, or I should say, track and field, I was a shot putter and discus.
Hmm.
That was a lot easier for me. But I did do like a fat man relay for the track. That was always the fun part at the end of the track meets. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, very cool. Now, after high school, did you go on to college, or what? How did you further your education after high school?
Yeah, I went on to like going to junior college to get like a education in fine arts. Like, yeah, I was an artist, so at least get an education in that. Even though if I don't get a job with it, at least I'm educated. So
Hmm.
from there, I didn't do any sports. I mean, I was more focused on my martial arts because that's like my main thing that I was doing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And did you have in high school? Did you have a goal of a career that you wanted to choose that you were shooting for?
Yeah, I was going to probably go for like being like a comic book artist, and I know that's like a lot of work, but really, I have like so many things on my mind that I wanted to do, and I guess your career goal kind of changes. It's like really, but I just kind of think, why don't I just get an education and see where that leads me to? You know,
Hmm.
yeah.
And talk about some of your job experience outside of high school, college. What kind of jobs did you hold, and what kind of things did you get some experience in?
I actually had a job, a printing job. Yeah, so I was like working in the bindery, like putting like books together
Hmm.
and like yeah, doing all those magazines and everything. But also I had the experience going working on the computer, like how things are made. So I mean, there was a guy, John Sanford. He was the guy, like the computer artist or the graphic artist. He's like
Hmm.
showing me like how to do all this stuff, and how to like print do plates and all that. So I will work with him with that. So that's experience with at least with art a little bit. So yeah.
Sounds fun. Well, maybe one day you'll use that to draw your comic books and create a series of comic books, and you know how to print them and bind them and do the whole deal, right?
Yeah.
So let's get back to martial arts. So you started martial arts at 11 years old, a day before you were 11, and have you trained consistently since you were 11 years old? Have you taken any breaks from your martial arts training?
Oh no, I was so hooked on it. I was always learning everything new. My original instructor Ron Huey. I mean, he still teaches. I mean, I kind of feel bad that I am ahead of him like from 3 degrees, but I know he can still kick my butt though. I mean, because yeah, I can really pretty much thank him for like all the years he's stand by me and yeah, so I was extremely hooked. Like I wanted to test for the next rank, but I knew I had to be like patient about it, but I was so committed to doing martial arts. So that's I wasn't thinking about quitting or anything, like nothing like that.
And when did you? How long after you started martial arts? How long did it take you to earn your first degree black belt?
I actually earned my first degree black belt like when my beginning year of high school, so or senior year of high school. So it was like 2004 in October. That's when I took my first degree black belt test right after a football game. Yeah.
Mm, wow. And what was your black belt test like?
Oh, well, good thing it was like at home. I mean, usually for our organization, we usually if you were going for a first degree, you either tested at your own school or you had to travel to other schools to test. I mean, it changed now. It's like for your first degree, you tested in your own school. But luckily for my first degree, I tested at home, so I didn't have to worry about traveling. And it was like an exciting moment. I mean, this is me going for my black belt, and I mean it was like three of us testing, and I did everything naturally, and from there it's like I was like sweating like a horse. I mean, I was putting the work in. I wasn't going to stop. But that moment when I was after the test, everybody, all the board members, the testing board was in the room, and it's like they brought me in, and then from there it's like I brought my mom in there with them, and it's like my master instructor asked me, what do you think? Do you think you can test for second degree next year? And I was like, I look confused. And then my mom just like next to me says yes. So I passed my first degree black belt test, and it's like that was like I did it. I'm a black belt. I mean, I
Hmm.
worked hard for this. Yeah.
What's your favorite aspect of martial arts? Do you like the forms, the self defense, the sparring? What are some of the favorite parts of martial arts for you?
Well, I could say like kata and self defense are like my main thing. It's just mostly everything you do is self defense, but mostly kata and self defense, or even one steps we call them. It's
Hmm.
like that form of self defense. It's like you're getting attacked. It's like you have to kind of visualize yourself getting attacked out in the street. And, this is the thing I always go over with my students. Like that's you mean you want to treat this almost like you're getting attacked, but you want to do it safely, right? Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And now, when did you earn you just earned your fourth degree recently in the last couple years?
Yeah, I earned it 2019 April. So I'm due for my fifth degree next year in 2023. So yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, keep training. Keep training. That's a key. I think that's inspirational for your students, people that watch you, people that are watching the show. If you're a martial artist, I mean, just keep training. I don't know if the degrees are important as the education or just the lifestyle that you live. Right. I mean, I think we love to earn those degrees and we love to earn those new belts, but ultimately it becomes part of our life, and it's just something that like we wake up and take a shower, we're getting ready to go to the gym, we do our job, we go train martial arts. It's just part of the everyday life. um, let's take a sidestep and let's talk about professional wrestling. How did you get involved in professional wrestling?
I could say like my earliest memory of professional wrestling when I was like 4 years old. Like I grew up in the golden like era of wrestling. Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Randy Savage, Andre the Giant. I mean, all those guys I grew up with. I mean, I can remember my first wrestling event that I actually went to. It was like at the convention center downtown.
Hmm.
And I can seriously remember it was Macho Man and Hulk Hogan in a cage match, and I
Wow.
can remember the late sensational Sherry kept interfering in the match. I remember getting on top of the cage and like either scratching Hogan down or pushing him down. But I can seriously remember that event. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we, came up in a similar time where those were the people that we watched. Hulk Hogan, uh, Macho Man, then Ultimate Warrior, Rowdy Roddy Piper. I mean, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. All these guys, like to me, like the '80s wrestling is just I absolutely loved it. And then of course it has evolved and changed just like martial arts over the years. And then you have people come in, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, John Cena, The Rock. I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker. All these people. It's just it's transcended a whole new era of professional wrestling now, and you watch the different styles of wrestling from the 80s to the 90s to now the 2000s. So very different. But the one thing that remains the same is the storytelling. Right? You're a comic book fanatic. You're a video game fanatic. So I can't help but think that the storytelling of professional wrestling is what drew you in, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, you would go on these storylines for like a year, like the WrestleMania to WrestleMania. It was a whole build for the whole thing. Now it's kind of like you got a month to build up because you're just building up to the most recent pay per view or the next show, whatever. But when did you start training, and what was your training like? How did you break in and get your first match?
Well, of course, there was my friend, my childhood friend. I used to go to school with. He used to take me to independent wrestling shows, and he actually did a little bit of professional or independent wrestling before me. And then from there it's like it kind of provoked my envy to try it out. I had like a plan saying if I passed my third degree black belt test, I was going to train to be a wrestler. I already had my shoes ordered and my knee pads, but like unfortunately I didn't pass my third degree, so I ended up going into professional wrestling, kind of like a sidestep from karate, because that felt like that going to pro wrestling kind of built up my martial arts to like
Hmm.
get better. And training, I'm actually trained it like across the border, like not a school not too far, like in Canada. So, and pretty much trained the first couple training sessions. All I did was bumps. That's
Hmm.
like the all I did. I didn't actually bump in the middle of the ring. They had me like pull on the middle rope and I just fall. So that was like my beginning training, just learn how to bump. And then from there I went on to doing lockups and again the holds. And then from there it's kind of evolved running the ropes. And
Hmm.
then from there it's just getting in matches, or at least coming up with some type of psychology to how to do a match.
Right,
So
right. And that's just the hardest part, right? Everybody watches the athleticism, which is amazing, right? But once you can do the moves, right? The moves are just a piece of the puzzle. The psychology of the match is just an art in and of itself. And I've been fortunate to have some really great trainers at our school here. We have a school here in Chatsworth, California, Millennium Wrestling Academy, Millennium Pro Wrestling. And one of my good friends, actually, we met through wrestling, Danny Devine. He's an amazing trainer. We have Ray Rosas. We got Steve Adkins, who was CM Punk's tag team partner back in the day. So, and he trained at OVW and has a lot of experience. Logan X, uh, just a whole bunch of great guys that I got the opportunity. And so let me ask you this, because we kind of came in as karate guys. Did the guys in the locker room give you any kind of grief coming into professional wrestling as a karate guy? Because when I came in the first time, there was a little bit of I get a little side eye from a lot of people in the locker room. Did you feel any of that at all?
oh, not really. I came in there as friendly because as that's the rule when you're in or in wrestling. You always show your respect to everybody, always shake their hand, and I mean, let's just say I'm the one person that didn't get on people's nerves. I was always coachable and like doing what everything's asked. But it seemed like most people were like not intimidated. I should say intimidated, ironically, because I was a martial artist. But
Mm-hmm.
usually when you're a martial artist or even an amateur wrestler in high school, you got that's like almost indemnity to like what you're doing, because everything that they do in wrestling is what you do in martial arts. So everything that they did in wrestling came naturally. So
Mm-hmm.
it kind of expedited my training.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the athleticism part, right? I mean, you could throw a kick, you could throw a punch, you could do a clothesline. I'm sure running the ropes and taking bumps, other than the soreness of it all. I mean, people really don't understand what kind of conditioning that takes to be able to run the ropes and take those bumps over and over and over. Um, but yeah, having those skills. Did you utilize a lot of your martial arts in your matches?
Yeah, mostly like before I kind of developed my character, I was trying to still develop my character, and I was like going after like the video game gimmick. Like
Hmm.
I used to go out there with a Mario hat, but that's like not my own thing. But nowadays it's like I'm kind of putting in my own martial arts experience. Like, yeah, I'm the video game warrior. It's like I'm putting like my interest in video games, but at the same time, I'm putting my martial arts experience with it. So I'm kind of blending like Ryu from Street Fighter and a little bit of Ricky Steamboat and kind of a little bit like the Junkyard Dog because that's pretty much like my outfit nowadays. It's like that's
Right.
how I yeah.
Well, you brought up one of my favorites of all time, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. From day one, I knew that going into the ring, that was going to be who I wanted to emulate the most. I love the fact that he would go to the ring in a karate gi and do the chops and do the kicks and man, what an amazing performer he was. I mean, come on, it doesn't get a whole lot better than the Macho Man Ricky Steamboat match, right? WrestleMania 3.
Yeah, no, it was so great to actually meet Mickey Steamboat for the first time. I mean, this was like during his second run in the WWE. It was like around 1991, when he blew the fire out of his mouth. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I like when me and my brother used to go to wrestling shows. I mean, I think we've met wrestlers like in the back. It's like it was the Bushwhackers, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Sergeant Slaughter, British Bulldog, and of course Ricky Steamboat on the curb signing autographs. And of course, I got to get to meet him again at the Niagara Falls Comic Con back in 2016. Actually, got a picture with him, and yeah, I told him that I remember him actually signing autographs. So yeah, that was like my greatest memory of him.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool. Well, let's move on to your podcast. So, which podcast came first?
the Kickpod that came first.
Okay, and how did you start that? What prompted you to start it? What was it like when you were just starting out, getting your show going?
Well, for when I actually started, like I actually went to a podcast con, like a local podcast con. It wasn't too big, but it was
Hmm.
like my friend Matt Johnson. He actually does like a podcast group, or he does like actually a podcast or organization. So
Hmm.
where us podcaster actually just record our stuff and we kind of send it to him so he can edit it and then like post it online. So from that podcon, like they did like sort of a seminar like podcast 101, and it's
Hmm.
like telling me like what you need to do for like to do a podcast. So I was saying to myself, it's basically you're just telling people like your thoughts of like certain subjects. So it wasn't
Hmm.
too hard. So I kind of like written down some of my ideas. I was like thinking about doing like pop culture and like
Hmm.
everything else. But I wanted to do the one thing that I was like very proficient with, and that was martial arts. So
Right.
everything at martial arts has like that pop culture, like movies, certain situations, and pro wrestling. That I can pretty much talk about that. So
Hmm.
that's how much I pretty much got into that. Yeah.
And
So
when did you start that podcast?
if I can remember, think I started when the pandemic hit.
Hmm.
Like I was like laid off of work, and it's a good thing I got my equipment like ahead of time. And there's no I'm sitting there trying to figure out what to do. So I kind of started that podcast around April of 2020 when everything was shut down. I was laid off for 2 months, and that's I was like just researching and just thought it's just do something like talk about anything like mostly my first episode like the like introduce like myself like
Hmm.
my experience as a martial artist like really just be authentic. So that's like the key of doing podcasts, like start with yourself and kind of
Right.
build up to what your expertise with subjects.
Yeah. No. Very cool. So that's been a couple years now. You run this show every week.
Well, before I did like every week, but like nowadays it's like every other week because I got my other podcasts.
Got
Yeah.
it. And so talk about the second podcast. When did you start that one?
It was like January, like the start of the new year. I started doing the Fit Fighter. Yeah,
Okay. And
yeah.
and so you alternate weeks. One week you're doing the kick pod, and then the next one you're doing the fit fighter.
Yeah, so I mean, like I've been out there trying to reach out to like guests, like mostly people that I would know come from the gym, or even guests I don't know. I'm
Hmm.
fortunate to get like a couple guests from across seas. Like I got one guest called Red Wire. She was a power lifter or female power lifter and strong woman. So
Hmm.
I got to reach out to her, and then me and her had a back and forth conversation. So that's usually I go reach out for guests, so I don't go looking for subjects and
Hmm.
like go crazy. Yeah,
Well, that's great. Well, keep reaching out there. Those of you that are watching, go check it out. You're on YouTube, correct?
yeah. YouTube, yep. Facebook,
Okay.
yep.
Where else? Where else can they find you? Facebook, YouTube. You have an Instagram.
Yeah. Usually I like post some like new episodes on Instagram. You know, not videos, but like links to my Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and do you have also a website for the podcast group, the bicbpradio.com. So that's the podcast precinct. That's what we call it. So yeah.
There you go. Well, go check it out, guys, for sure. Well, TJ, is there anything that we have not talked about that you wanted to share with the audience? We talked about martial arts training. We talked about professional wrestling. We talked about the video games, comic books, and artwork. Then we got the two new podcasts going on right now. What's next for you? What's your next project? What are you thinking about doing next?
Well, I've been doing a lot of cosplaying lately because I go to all these comic cons. Yeah, that's probably something to mention. Yeah. I mean, I recently went to a fan expo in Toronto. It was like a
Hmm.
4-day event. And I mean, unlike the comic cons I've been to, that was like a stampede, like so many people. It's
Hmm.
like you have to like get through a lot of people just to get to your photo op because it was so crowded. Yeah.
Hmm. Yep, some of them can be waiting in line for hours, right? But
Yeah.
that moment when you get to the front of the line, you get to meet that person that you've been waiting for. Great experience, can't beat it, right?
Yeah, it's like because of this Comic Cons, met so many famous people. It's like something that you never know how long these celebrities will live for. When you actually see them at a Comic Con, you actually get to meet them for real. It's like it's so magical. Yeah,
How fun. Really fun. Well, hey, it's been great chatting with you today and sharing your story, talking about all the different subjects. I encourage everybody to watch your next podcast and check it out. Keep posting in our Master Motivation group as well, your links, your videos, so that people can find you. And I look forward to catching up soon. Take care of your leg on the
yep,
on the surgery. You got a few weeks, I'm sure, at least 4 to 6 weeks recovery. Is that about right?
yeah, 4 to 6, 6 to 8. So I mean, it depends. Yeah,
Well, you're a martial artist, so I'm sure you'll be up and kicking in no time, right?
yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Well, TJ Williams, thank you so much for spending time with me today and just hanging out on the Master Motivation podcast. Look forward to having our next guest next week and every Monday at 12 o'clock Pacific time. Um, have a great day, and I'll catch up with you soon.
All right, peace out.
Peace out, brother. See ya.
Hey.